So last we studied a new topic which was what? S parameters, right? So what do S parameters stand for? They stand for scattering parameters, right? And why we studied them? Because at high frequency, voltage and current measurements are very abstract. So it is tedious to measure them, right? So what we do, we instead use S parameters to measure the measure the whatever the parameters we require, right? So if you take the example of a waveguide, so if I take a rectangular waveguide, how does it look like? It looks somewhat like this, right? It's like this. This length is a, which is called the broader dimension, and this length is b, which is the, sorry, this length is b, which is the narrower dimension, and this is the extent of the waveguide, right? And what axis we have taken? So we have taken this as x-axis, sorry, z-axis. So if that is z, by right-handed coordinate system, this is x and this is y, right? So this is what we assume the rectangular waveguide construction. Assume not, it is the actual construction of a rectangular waveguide, right? So what I am saying is, if I give the input from this side, that is the left side, then it is called as 1. Now why is it called port 1? Okay, because now practically we'll give an input here, but we don't directly take a waveguide, give it an input and see the output, because we want the assurity that it is working fine, right? So what we use simulations. And how we attain simulations? We use the simulation softwares to check whether we are getting the correct output. So that saves us time and cost also, right? So that is why we use simulations, right? So this is a very crude introduction. So how we model the input and output in the software is by giving ports. So port 1 is usually the input port. So I am giving the input from this side and I am extracting the output here. So this is called as port 2. So there are various softwares like COMSOL Multiphysics, then you have CST Studio Suite, then you have ANSYS HFSS to model these waveguides. Okay, apart from others, but these are the most famous ones. Okay. So this is port 1, this is port 2. That is the reason we have S11, S21, S22, etc. Right? So what we are doing, if I am seeing S11 means what? It is nothing but gamma. Means I am saying when the input is from port 1, right? How much is coming back to port 1? Means if I am giving a power from port 1, ideally what should happen? It should travel towards right. But we have seen that this is a form of transmission line only. Some part of the power may get reflected, so there might be some reflection. So how much of the power is reflected, that will be given by S11, right? So next I am seeing S21. So what would be S21? So how much of the power is actually getting transmitted to port 2? So that will be what I can say transmission coefficient, right? So that can be denoted as tau. Then S12, right? Then when port 2 is excited, what is the output at port 1, right? So in this case it is not valid, right? Because port 2 is not excited. So then we have S22 when port 2 is excited. Again, this is not valid, right? So this is how we saw the S parameters, right? So ideally what should be here? S11 should be, if I am talking about normal scale, so S11, that is gamma, should be what? 0. That is 0% of the power should be reflected, right? And if I am talking about transmission coefficient, it should be 1. So if you convert to dB, right? So what will it be? It will be 10 log 0 if I am talking in terms of power. So it will be 10 log 0, so it will be minus infinity, right? But ideally we take it should be greater than minus 20 dB, greater than in magnitude. This is the standard norm. So the more it is below minus 20, the more it is better, right? And then if you take 10 log of 1, it is what? 0, right? So ideally S21 should be 0 dB, that is 100% of the power should be reflected, but practically this is not possible. So values like 0.1, 0.2 are also acceptable, right? This is the basic introduction we had to S parameters in the last week, right? And before that, what we saw a very important topic, which is rectangular waveguide. So I'll just revise that because that is the heart of this lecture. So what we had TE and TM modes in a rectangular waveguide, right? So what was TE mode? transverse electric mode, means electric field is transverse to the direction of propagation, right? So this was the direction of propagation. The electric field was transverse to this z, obviously, means it was where along this rectangular edge, right? So that is why it is called as transverse electric mode, right? So electric field is transverse, right? So what was it? Ez was 0 because there is no component of electric field transverse to the direction of propagation, and there is a component of magnetic field in the direction of propagation, so this is not 0, right? So then what we saw the various indices m and n, right? So it was designated as what? TMN mode. What was m? M is number of half cycle variations in x direction, and n is number of half cycle variations in y direction, right? So we had started with t00. We checked that it does not exist from the equation. Then we had t01 and t10, right? Then we said this is the dominant mode. Why we call this as the dominant mode? Because its cutoff frequency was the lowest for the rectangular waveguide, right? And what is cutoff frequency? Below this frequency there is no propagation. Whatever you do, the wave won't propagate inside the waveguide. So this is the bare minimum frequency we should have for propagation, right? So then we had TM mode. So for TM, what was it? Magnetic field is transverse to the direction of propagation, right? So transverse components are x and y. So Hz should be 0 and Ez is not 0, right? So then what we saw here, that TM M0 and TM0N modes do not exist. So consequently, what is the lowest order mode? TM11, right? So this is the lowest order mode. But remember, dominant mode is not considering only T, it is considering the entire rectangular waveguide, right? So this frequency, cutoff frequency for TM11 is higher than T10, right? So remember that. Okay? So this is what we discussed regarding T and TM modes, right? So next, let's see how to visualize these modes. Actually, I will not say visualize, how to, if you are given a electric and magnetic field, how to check whether which mode is it. So that we'll see today. And usually this is not understood by many. So make sure you be attentive and careful. Okay. So I have what? A rectangular waveguide. So this is my rectangular waveguide, right? And this broader dimension is A, right? This broader dimension is A and the narrower dimension is B, right? We are only interested in the transverse direction. Why? Transverse, I have taken a transverse part only, right? This is the longitudinal part. This is the transverse part. Why? Because we have T and TM modes. They are transverse. So we will see the modes from this section only. Okay. So then what I want to see? I want to see first, let's say, the dominant mode. So I want to check the T10 mode. So what we have designated as TEMN, right? So M is along X direction, N is along Y direction, right? Why is that so? Because we have the fields like this, right? Cos of M pi X by A into cos of N pi Y by B. So M is associated with X, N is associated with Y. In any ways, I have mentioned here, M is number of half cycle variations in X direction. So M corresponds to X, right? And N corresponds to Y, right? So this is the reason we are taking this way. So let's see first for T10. So let me take a fresh page. So this is my rectangular waveguide. This is what M, this is N, right? So I want to see TE10, right? Means M equal to 1, N equal to 0. I hope this is visible, right? So what is happening? Number of half cycle variations in M are how many, or in X are how many? They are 1, right? So I can draw like this line, right? So this is one half cycle variation. Actually it should go till here, right? And what are the half cycle variations in N? 0. So I will not draw anything, right? So if you see the mode in actual commercial software, like let's say COMSOL, CST or HFSS, how will you see this is? I'll draw that. This is my rectangular waveguide. So you will see this will be what? Electric field, right? So it is only in this direction. So if you take our original structure, this direction is what? Y, right? So it will be only in y direction. So it will look like this. So our reference books will be showing like this arrows. So students are not able to comprehend what is happening, right? So you will see these lines, right? But it will not, even though I have drawn all with same color, they will be of different amplitude here. So the electric field will be maximum at the midpoint of the rectangular waveguide. Here it will be 0, here it will be 0, right? That's why we get a sinusoidal waveform. So this sinusoidal waveform indicates what? The electric field is maximum at this point and 0 at this point, right? So it should follow this graph. Okay, so this is what TE10 mode, right? Next, let me take TE01 mode. So how will it look like? Again, I have a rectangular waveguide. So this is what TE01 I want to draw. So again, this is M, this is N, right? So 01 means number of half cycle variations in M are 0, so nothing should be drawn here. What are the number of half cycle variations in N? So they are like this, right? So if you want, you can draw here also. It's one and the same thing, right? So again, if I want to draw the arrows, how will they look like now? It will look like this, right? They can be like this also. So if you actually see the field, the power is actually going, right? So they will oscillate in this direction, like this, like this, like this, like this. But what? At one instant they will be like this. At the other instant they will be directly 180-degree phase shift, and it will not rotate like this. It will directly come like this because they are what? Transverse, right? So they should not be in any way like this or in any way inclined towards Z. So that is the meaning of transverse, right? So this is what about, and why we are seeing electric field? Because electric field is transverse. Is the magnetic field transverse? No, right? So that's why we are interested in electric field. So next, let's see. So let's slowly increase the complexity now. So if I have a TE20 mode, what is happening now? Number of half cycle variations in M, that is this broader dimension are 2, right? So how will we draw this? It will look somewhat like this, right? So if I draw it here, how does it resemble in the software? How will it look? So these arrows will be like this, exactly till the midpoint, right? So this is one half cycle. So then it will be like this. Obviously you won't have field here. What I have shown here is to indicate that both are opposite in nature, right? So this is what my TE20 mode, right? So next, slowly increase the complications. So next, I'll draw this as the last one. Next, we'll try to guess, even though I don't have any interaction with you. So this is what TE11 means. I want one half cycle variation in X as well as one half cycle variation in Y. So how will you draw TE11? Ideally, you would draw it like this. But if you draw like this, what is the problem? This and this are getting interfering with each other, so this is not possible, right? So what we have to do is we have to also take into consideration the boundary conditions. So what are the boundary conditions for dielectric conductor interface? ET1 is 0, then DN1 is rho s, then BN1 is 0, and HT1 equal to Js. If you are not aware of this, see the boundary conditions lecture. Okay. So these are the boundary conditions, right? Means tangential component of electric field should be 0, right? Where at the boundary, these are what boundary conditions. So they are only talking about at the boundaries. Don't say what happens in the middle, it should be 0. No, only at the boundary we are saying tangential component should be 0. So if you see here, what is it? 0 here. This is the boundary, right? And this is the waveguide, right? So this is the tangential component, right? Because it is along this waveguide only, right? So this is the tangential component is 0. Same way along this is also tangential component. So this is also 0, right? So that is what is happening here. So all these cases boundary conditions are satisfied. Here also it is 0. Here it is not depending on boundary conditions. That is something different, right? So how can we draw the TE11 mode. This is not possible because these two cannot come together, right? So let's try to do this, right? So first thing, we know something like this can exist, right? So let's try to shift it by 90 degree. So what will happen? It will look somewhat like this, right? But this doesn't sound like, right? So it can be like this, but this is only quarter cycle, so it should be like this, right? Here also I should have one because it is T11. So here also I should draw like this, right? But the boundary condition should also be satisfied, right? But what is happening here? This is one quarter cycle, this is one quarter cycle. So this is what, one half cycle now, half plus half. So one quarter half cycle, right? That conditions are satisfied in all the directions. Fine. But are the boundary conditions satisfied? Let's see. But if you see, there is no tangential component here. This is what coming like this. So this is what normal component. So normal component of electric field is given here. So dn1 is epsilon en1. So en1 is rho s by epsilon, right? So it should not be zero. So it is not zero here because we are showing some value, right? In fact, we are showing the maximum value, right? Sorry, not the maximum value. We are giving some value. So this is the normal component, right? Right, so it can have some value or it can be zero also because rho s can be zero, right? So this is what T11 mode. So next, let's see T. So I'll not tell the mode now. I'll draw the variations and you tell me. So if the mode is like this, obviously assume it is symmetric. So you assume it is symmetric. Which mode is it this? So now you cannot say unless you are told that electric field is transverse or magnetic field is transverse. So I'll tell electric field is transverse. So it is a TE mode. So which TE mode is it? So if you see along this is what M, this is what N, right? So how many variations? 1, 2, 3. If you are saying this is wrong. This is one half cycle. This is one quarter cycle. This is one quarter cycle. So two half cycles in M. So TE2. Here how many? One only. So TE21 mode, right? So next, let's take this mode, right? Simple, three half cycle variations, no half cycle variation in N. So T30 mode, right? So if I want T31, how will it look like? So it is, sorry, T31 I want, right? So we know for one it can be like this, right? So for T30 it will be like this, right? So again, why this case? You just see how the boundary conditions are satisfied. I'll not go into that. Okay. So this is for what? T mode. So let's see TM modes now. So for TM, what is transverse? Magnetic field is transverse, right? So these are TM modes. So let's see how the TM modes can be drawn for a rectangular waveguide. So I want TM11. Now what is the difference here? Magnetic fields we are drawing. So we already know that magnetic fields always exist in closed loops. So we will not draw lanes, we will draw closed loops now, right? So let me draw it. I hope you understand this. These are closed loops, right? So now what is happening is this is somewhat different. So how many variations you are having in M? This is one half cycle. If you see, don't take the complete circle. We want what? These are what half cycle variations. So I have one half cycle variation in M. I have another half cycle variation in this N. So that's why this is what TM11 mode, right? Quite simple. So now I have, if I want to draw TM21, how will it look like? It should have one half cycle variation here. I can draw it here also, right? But it should have two half cycle variations, means one full cycle. So it should look somewhat like this, right? Means this circle should be completed like this. So I have drawn how the mode has existed. So this is what TM21. How is it TM21? Two half cycle variations here and one half cycle variation here. So if you take this also, this is one half cycle variation only, right? So next, how will TM31 look like then? So obviously we should have three circles, right? So here also we have one, here 1, 2, 3. So TM31, right? So these are the first 10 modes of a rectangular waveguide. So if you take there are standard rectangular waveguides. They are WR284, for example. It has some standard dimensions of A is 72.136 centimeter or mm, I don't remember, and B is 36.036 centimeter or mm. I don't remember the exact. It is might be mm only. So these are what rectangular waveguide standard dimensions, right? So this you can simulate in any commercial software and you can get these results for first 10 modes. Okay, I may not be in the sequence correctly, but these are the first 10 modes. So next, we haven't discussed circular waveguides, but we'll just discuss what are the modes. So if you study circular waveguides, TE11 is the dominant mode in a circular waveguide. Okay, so I want to draw the TE11 mode, how it resembles, right? So first I'll draw and then I'll explain how it looks like. So this is what is happening. Electric field is transverse, right? So this is called as TE11 mode. Now why is it called as TE11? So you can remember this as T5 row mode. So this indicates number of half cycle variations in circumferential direction, and this indicates in radial direction, right? So this is what a cylindrical waveguide, right? So rho, phi, z are the coordinates. So rho is radius, phi is the angle. So it is the circumferential angle, we can say, right? So what is happening along the radial direction, right? If you see this in a software, you will see that this value arrows are having different colors. So that different colors indicate that the amplitude is changing. So it will be maximum, it will be minimum here and it will be maximum at the center, right? So what is happening? You are getting a half cycle variation, right? So that corresponds to this one. Next, along the circumference, if you see along the circumference, what is happening along this half of the circumference? You are having magnetic fields like this, and here you are having magnetic fields like this. So they will also change from 0 to maximum amplitude like this here, right? So that will be another one half cycle variation, right? So that is what it is, TE11 mode. So one half cycle variation along the circumferential direction and another one variation in half cycle variation in this direction. So next, let's see TE21 mode. So it looks somewhat like this. Right. So what is happening now? Again, if you see along the radial direction, there is one half cycle variation, right? So it is TE. We are not done with this one, so this is not known. What is happening along the circumference? This is coming like this, this is coming like this, and this is coming like this. So what is it? There are two half cycle variations, right? So along this, what is happening? This is same, right? And this is same, right? So what was happening here? Only this were same. So it was happening one time only. Here this is happening one time, this is happening the second time. So TE21.